I would like to thank Danny very much for all sorts of reasons. The main one being that he put his finger on a problem that I refer to as the elephant in the room. Today, although it's one of the longest days of the year, it's still not going to be long enough in order for us to have a serious discussion. And we need to discuss the questions. I also have questions for Danny, because the part of what I refer to as Chinophobia is revealed in the questions. For example, the future of R&D versus the biggest buyers. It's true for everybody who acquires the know-how which is created in Israel. They're going to copy it, they're going to use it, and they'll go home. So it doesn't matter if they're Chinese or American, for that matter. It doesn't matter what the nationality is, what their name is, where do they come from, etc. These are definitely questions. And by the way, the difficulties that Israel has in exporting to the superpowers, it's not only in China. Both of us for years were dealing with the European Union. The European Union is larger than us, and they sell more than we sell to it. So it's not only a problem specific to China. Well, with China we also are in deficit. It's the same thing. So then, these are questions that should be raised, and it's very good that we're asking them, but we have to put them in perspective, a perspective which is not only via glasses, so to speak, that are not only intended toward China. Otherwise, it seems that we have something, as I said this morning, some sort of a Chinophobia issue. I think it's time for concluding remarks. A question? Yes, but only if it is a question. As far as the lack of human power in China, the moment they are blocked with workers, we can send 10,000 people from Israel. A question. As far as the security trade, maybe a few words there. No, we're not opening this issue. It is complicated. Instead of Danny, I would answer. It has been going on from the year 2000, quite a lot due to mistakes of the Israeli system. Also because of long-term memory of the Americans. And one day, this was not his question, he was talking about something else, and we are going to open it up in this institute, and one day we will open it up. Matan, okay, it's time for conclusions. First of all, I'm very happy that some people have stayed here until the end. I want to thank you, those who survived it. Secondly, I'm very happy for the way Danny was talking, although he started getting carried away. I try to stop him, because when you look into things thoroughly, if you take the whole manufacturing pie to China and put it in the manufacturing pie towards the world, then you'll find out that chemicals of Israel is central in both, and you will also find out that this computers company of Santa Clara Intel. Oh, Intel. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I forgot. Intel, you would understand that its part in the pie with Israel is just like with China, and the problem of the large company, some of who are not centered in Israel, and I didn't say Santa Clara for no reason, because it's not here in Israel, and there is where decisions are made. So compared to the small and medium companies who do not export enough, what we have to understand is that China is a huge challenge that we cannot ignore and we have to deal with. And we cannot handle them in the Israeli obsolete methodologies. They know how to work differently, they're more sophisticated, better rule, they understand what they're doing. What we really don't understand that well, and so you find out that when you have in-depth discussions, if you should have a whole cathedral in Israel, if you discuss with these people, they are very brilliant people, and mostly they don't talk about Beijing, but rather Jerusalem, Tel Aviv. We don't have 10,000 people working in China, not even 10 hard labor workers. And then you find out that the mirror they put in front of you makes you ask, why does Israel behave as it does? One day I get a phone call from the Ministry of Infrastructure, of Housing, and he says, I want to come to China and to learn how they build so quickly. They have an entire program with the housing for young people. There's some issues here in Israel. I said, well, come in. We visited we'll visit construction sites. We can eat from the floor. The floor is spotless. And it's going to be excellent. And we're going to have a great tour, but I'll tell you a secret, and don't quote me because I'm going to deny it. I'll tell you the secret immediately. The Chinese simply work. That's it. They simply work. It is a horrible secret, but that's the way things are. And now we have Chinese construction workers coming. There was quite an effort crossing this bridge because of mistakes on the part of the Israeli government. Let's make no mistake here. The government was interrupting in the way after this effort. Then we get construction workers plus 5 companies. Each company can bring another 1,000 people. Nowhere else in the world can you bring so many. Bulgaria, they talk about 2,000 construction workers, and it's fantastic. Gaza, the Palestinians. We don't see any such numbers, no such magnitude of construction workers. And when you look into the regulations, most of them are in-house. We simply don't know how to behave, how to work. And so here in the institute, we need to close this gap. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs is trying to close the gap, and the representatives in China are doing excellent work trying to close this gap. And it's not simple, not at all. And if we don't learn how to deal with the Chinese, we'll keep on being surprised over and over again. Why be surprised? It's also very clear. Do you know how many companies came to Beijing to tell me how they conquered China and everything is clear and the red carpet is awaiting? And I was thinking, they seem good people to me. But I'm not going to meet them anymore. I'm sure I won't see them again here in China. They think that they managed to do business. They didn't do anything. Why? Because of this PRC, lack of patience, lack of methodology, lack of thorough understanding that you have to deal differently, to study something else. There are things that we perhaps have some sort of an advantage over. I have no complex there. I understand it, but we have to study them. We have to study how to do it. And the main task of such a day, a conference day, and the private sector, who's represented by Dani, it is above it all, and he's doing great work. And private business people are the ones who really understand China, because it's their money and they have to understand things thoroughly. They do excellent work. They represent Israel, and it's fine. We have to understand what China is and not try to escape it and not say that it doesn't exist. As for this direct question, I want to provide a direct answer. There are no security deals with China. Don't ask me why or how. No such deals with China. And more than one eyebrow was raised when an ambassador was sent to China who is an Israeli former general. And I made sure that there's no hint of that. So the answer is very clear. We're dealing with completely different things: agriculture, healthcare. These are the leaders. Water is another central issue. The water city is an answer to Danny as if he doesn't know. They're Israeli companies, they signed contracts, but it's working in a Chinese pace, very much in orderly fashion. And there was an argument in China which city is going to be the recipient, is going to win it. There were political forces that intervened. And ultimately, Shongguan in Shandong is the winner, and it's going to happen. And so this is an example of a successful thing. There are other enterprises that did not succeed, but we have hundreds of companies active in China. And I'm sitting here, and dozens come to talk to me each and every week trying to come into China in this or other formats. At the same time, there are very heavy risks involved, and most of them have to do with us, actually. Our procedures. They are very smart, very methodological. They know what they do. They know why they bought Tnuva. And Tnuva was not a successful deal as far as they're concerned. And wonder of wonders, very quietly, each and everyone who did the deal is already a formerly employee on the Israeli side and on the Chinese side. And wonder of wonders, very quietly so, Chinese are sitting in Tnuva, close to here, in Glilot Junction. Why? To look at what the Israelis are doing, to see their reports and figures. Yes, we have to look into it very carefully. It's not so simple. So Chinese are sitting there in their offices, and they know exactly why they bought Tnuva as much as they know other things. We have to understand it. We mustn't think that we are the wisest of all and nobody can beat us. It's more complicated when you get there. And if we don't know who they are, we're going to lose. We're going to have to surrender, so to speak. And it's so happened that Greek, this superpower, you remember Greece? A huge superpower at the time. All of a sudden, last week, I think, there should have been a vote in the Human Rights Council in Europe, and Greece vetoed it and postponed it. And then you ask yourself, against China, of course, and the question is what's happening here? And you find out that Greek electricity is in Chinese hands, and you find out that Piraeus, the port, is in Chinese hands, and our ports are going to be in Chinese hands very soon as well. And they have interests. And you see African countries, one after another, leaving Taiwan, going to the other side. Not important countries, but they have a finger, they can vote, just they push the same button in the vote, just like the Americans do. If it's called United States or another African country, ultimately they count the votes. And the Chinese, very wisely so, took over Africa. They didn't even shoot a single bullet. The Israelis always come with tanks and helicopters, etc. Yes, I said it in the beginning. I just said that he got carried away. That's what I said, very gently. And so we need to know how to look at it directly and not get confused, and don't think that if you got the red carpet, then you're a king. That's not the situation. And if we work according to Israeli interests, and this is our main goal, to work according to Israeli interests, we're here to gain. If we follow other interests, God knows where this is going to go. And so, wisely so. Understand this is completely different. It's a different culture. The handshake is different. If we understand it, we will gain. Otherwise, it's a shame. I would like to thank you for coming here. I'd like to thank all the presenters. I'm very happy for the Chinese representative that was here.
The two lady professors with us. It was excellent. I like it very much. And it was very important for us as well. And thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. I would like to turn to our two guests, Professor Han and Professor Gao. I would like to turn to you, and it is some sort of a conclusion of the day. What we've learned throughout the day is something that is well known to all those dealing with the issue of China and China-Israel in particular. There is a lack of knowledge,
no question, lack of awareness, maybe lack of understanding, but part of it is on your part as well. And I address you so that you would help enhance the understanding by contact that doesn't really exist. It does maybe in the economic issues, but it doesn't exist in spite of the number of tourists, what we call people to people. And you come from academic institutes, and two, that is also one of the ways to promote this understanding. And if you can convey this message back to your academic institutes and also to the government of China, we need openness on the other side as well. There's a need for understanding the motives on the Israeli side and understanding the doubts and the hesitations regarding how to promote the relations in a way that it will be more balanced from the interests both of yours in China and Israel. I can assure you that this institute, the INSS, which is a podium and a meeting place for the Israeli institutes, officially and non-officially, is continuing to be a focus for discussions about these subjects and a bridge with the parallel institutes in China. Thank you for coming, and thank you all, and have a good day.